What's up? This is Ed from 2,795,000 bands, and we'll see you in the Tampa Morgue.
Strength the soul away. What's up, wherever you are listening? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, episode number 42. And as always, I am joined by a man who's had himself a hell of a week, which we will get to that, Mr. Ed Webb. What's up, dude?
Mr. Anderson, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Just hanging out. We decided to do a show last minute tonight. We have a show coming up Sunday too. I didn't know if we were going to get one in today, but we had a little bit of time, so we figured we would stop on by and
Works for me. My wife's
yeah,
sick, so run away.
run. Yeah,
I did the cross. I showed her the cross, and I ran.
yes.
Threw some holy water on her.
My wife's like, when I'm sick, man, I gotta admit, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm dying when I'm sick, no matter what it is. My wife's pretty tough, man. I've seen her have two kids, basically, so I have to say, like, they're troopers.
Oh, really? Can I
Yeah,
get your wife? Because like mine is more like kind of my legs hanging off. She's like, "Can you shake it off? Fucking dinner needs to be get made. Get in there."
get out there to mow the fucking
Yeah,
lawn.
exactly. We got two different wives. Mine's from West Virginia, so either. Well, I'm not going there, but so she's brutal. She's brutal, but yeah, she's definitely not. When let's just say when she gets sick, it's weird, man. She goes from hey, I'm not feeling so good to like fucking. I'm shutting the coffin door. I mean, it's a weird thing with her. I don't get that sick. It's usually when you get sick, it's like very seldom. So when you get sick, you get sick. But it's like she gets this cough, and I'm like, oh shit, because I know the cough leads into like almost pneumonia. It's weird with her, man.
You're gonna be busy tonight. You're gonna be.
Well, that's why I got kids. Put that butler suits on them, and go take care of your mother. Get used to this, because I can't wait till you're wiping my ass when I'm fucking.
Exactly.
I told him that too.
The future doesn't look very bright.
No, it does not.
Actually, we opened up with the show with Disincarnate, and that was from the '93 record, "Dream of the Carrion Kind." The song was called "Stench of Paradise Burning." And actually, we actually played that song, and Ed, you actually practiced next to this guy and knew him pretty well. Tommy Viator passed away yesterday.
I did.
Tommy, obviously the drummer of Disincarnate. He also played with Astaroth. We know Astaroth actually had a bunch of guys that we have played with that also were involved with that band. Jim Coker, Damien Heftel,
Tony Laureano.
Yeah, it was it was a whole Brian Winton. There was so he passed away yesterday. That was Disincarnate, and Disincarnate was obviously James Murphy's band with Brian Segan on vocals. I had played with Brian years back when he played with Strychnine. He was also later on in a band called Mutilation Ritual. Jason Carmen, but yeah. So Ed, you actually you knew Thomas.
Yeah, I knew all those dudes. Yeah, we practiced right next door to him. It was a band that it was what I'll call my first real band. So yeah, we played in the infamous People's Storage that we have referenced on this show a million times, and yeah, they were right next door to us. So got to see James and those dudes. Yeah, I talked to Tommy and Jason and Brian a lot.
Brian was a killer singer. It's weird. I remember him with Strychnine, and he kind of, and then obviously, like I said, he did a couple other things. I know he was doing the Mutilation Ritual stuff, but he kind of disappeared after Strychnine. I thought I really didn't see much of him. And obviously we still see James around, and James still does stuff. But Thomas, passed away yesterday. Did you do any shows with him?
Don't think we did. I mean, I've seen him live with Disincarnate, but I don't think I did. Because it wasn't long before, Disincarnate was like a thing, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, they formed in '92. They only put out the album right in '93.
Pretty much, and then they were pretty much done. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tommy might have been around for a little while, and then I think he moved to Louisiana, where he lived out. Most of it. I always wondered, because I was like, man, this dude. Even back then, I would watch him, and he was just incredible. He was, there's drummers, because of course, and if you go by who was in People's Storage, you had Pete Sandoval over there fucking absolutely killing it. And you had a bunch of pretty, Browning. I mean, when he played with Astral.
Yeah, you can still see that famous video on YouTube from People's Storage.
When he played with Browning. Yeah, he's the one who had the triple 666, the 3 drums, even though one was kind of a dummy, I think. But yeah, he was great, man. And we would watch him and the guitar player, you know, they would run through riffs before James or anybody got there. And Tommy was like, reminded me of like Pete. He would show up for hours and just practice. I mean, the guy was great. I always wondered, man, I'm like, how did this guy not wind up in a band somewhere down the line when he left?
Wound up playing keyboards actually on Pagan Terrorism Tactics from the '96 album from Acid Bath. So I think he was with them for like a year. Like you said, that also, like living in Louisiana, you know, that's
right.
You know, where that came to place. But you know, he played with a band called Suffer. But because you were that was Eulogy, right? You were, which we're going to talk about actually some of the bands you were jamming with. What was the band?
That was the band. So we didn't have a name, dude. Every time we picked a name, the dudes in Eulogy, because they also practice right across the way. Which there's another drummer, Clayton, just fucking phenomenal. And every time we'd pick a name, one of those fucking dudes would come over and go, "Yeah, there's a band called that." And I remember the last name we had picked was Disgorged. And this is back now, mind you, this is 1995, 5-ish, 94. And I'm like, how the fuck do you guys know that this band's taken? You know what I mean? It's like there was no internet. But so Jason Avery, One Eye, singer, of course, Monstrosity and Eulogy, he come over, he goes, yeah, disgorge means to not eat, so we're going to just call you Uneat. So that was kind of our funny nickname. We were called Uneat. So yeah, that's
so Uneat. You guys practice next to Discarnate, and yeah. So you know, Thomas Viator passed away, obviously, like we said. So we wanted to mention that. Also, what's his name passed away? That Steve Albini, right? Passed away. The Chicago engineer for the Pixies, obviously Nirvana, the Breeders, Jesus Lizard. He died of a heart attack. They said he was only, I think, 61 around that time period.
Yeah, man, he's an icon for sure, man. I mean, if you think of the records he, engineered, I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, I was actually talking to somebody the other day about, like the whole Nirvana thing when they came out. I remember, like I said, they played in Jersey at City Gardens, and like 2 weeks later they were huge. It was like they went from being like, there was some buzz, and then boom, they were gigantic. But yeah, so obviously Albini passed away. I think that was yesterday. It was yesterday also, right? Or was it today? One of the two. The days are blending over.
Yeah, I saw it last night.
Yeah, it's been a long, week. I always do this to myself. I went out with last weekend. I went out with Dovidus, who was actually a guest on our show from the Lithuanian black metal band Luctus. He also plays with Crypts of Despair. So me and my family went down to Vilnius. We're starting to go away a couple nights for the weather's getting better here. Went out to Vilnius and went out with Dovidus and them, and I paid for it the next day because I'm not a partier. I'm not out all the time. Drinking anymore when I was younger, but I always pay for it. And what I usually do is the whole week I live a great, straight, eat healthy, do everything right. That weekend comes and then I fuck it up. But I went out with Dovidus. We went out to some couple bars down there in Vilnius. We met up with some of the guys from a band called Cispian, another Lithuanian black metal band. It was great to see Dovidus. We were talking about a lot about music and stuff, new Crypts of Despair and all that. But if anybody hasn't heard that interview, I don't forget what number it was, but, Dovidus hung out here for a couple hours and gave us a lot of insight on the Lithuanian black metal scene and death metal scene and all that, But, yeah, so I paid for it though, man. And Ed, I have to give you credit because you don't party. And once in a while I do this and I always pay for it.
This is exactly why I don't party. Not that I'm trying to be some sort of a fucking, straight rock guy, you know what I mean? A straight edge or whatever. I'm not CM Punk with X's on my fucking hands. I just, dude, I
remember that in high school. We had a couple of kids that walked around like that.
Yeah. See, I've had my share, dude. I mean, it was probably pre-meeting you. Like I used to, the old mug days, get wasted, drive home, bring people back to my house, fucking party, get fucking high, get wasted. Cause my house was I was the weed dude, ain't no secret. Everybody who knows. So yeah. And it was like, there were, when I,
a couple nickel
times,
bags in the high school bathroom.
You ain't coming to my house for that shit. But yeah, I there was like a couple times I can remember like going out Guavaween And I know I was with my friend, his wife, and this chick, and we started fucking like Guavaween sucked that year. It wasn't any good band, so we split. But on the way there, we were drinking back when you wine coolers, because that was all you could get at the gas station, like by the singles. Fucking drinking those, and then they had
Sadites. Remember that shit?
Yeah, man.
And they had fucking nasty shit.
Back when Guavaween had the little test tubes with like Sex on the Beach or whatever they put in them. So we were drinking all that shit, and finally we split and got a bottle of Goldschlager. And we started playing quarters, and all I know is I woke up in my bed, like with my shoes still on, like in my bed. And I came out, and the girls were gone, and my buddy was hugging my toilet. And I'm like, wow, his wife left him here. And me and him, it wound up a fight for the toilet because, dude, we both had alcohol poisoning. When I went in the thing, now we're talking, you remember Goldschlager came in the like, there was a small bottle, there was the bigger bottle, and then there was the big bottle. We had the middle bottle, and it was on the floor, empty. So, yeah. And from that day, I will not. I don't like cinnamon because Goldschlager's got that cinnamon. I'm not a fan of cinnamon, and I paid for like 3 days because we had alcohol poisoning. Like I couldn't eat for days because anything I ate, I threw up. And I was like, fuck this, dude. This is nothing that I want to go, I don't want to live through this. And then watching my friends get shit-faced every night. I mean, I could tell you names, one of them in a band I was in, he was shit-faced all the fucking time.
Could you imagine all 20? Yeah, I know people like that all day. They're just fucked up.
And some of the stuff that he wound up doing while he was shit-faced would get you literally fucking your ass beat today. Like 100%, you would get fucking smashed. So yeah, I was a buds over, what do they call it? Buds over suds kind of guy.
Yeah, anyway. I'm the same way, man. I do like beer, and all that stuff, but I don't like to get
a beer
these days. Yeah. I'm not. I mean, I was out with Dovidus, and I started doing I felt a little bit of the stumble, and I was like, it's time to, venture home.
We used to go to Sink or Swim down at the Empire on a Wednesday night, I think it was, where $5 you drink all you can drink, and then all of a sudden here I am fucking judo throwing people. I'm leaving a judo and jiu-jitsu class. My boys like, we gotta go drinking, bro, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And here I am fucking tossing people on their heads in a bar, and I'm like, what am I doing here? This isn't even like, you know what I mean? I didn't even want to go.
Young, angry Ed. They're getting a little dose of a young, angry Ed there. That's why if you ever see Ed on stage with X's on his hands, now you know why. Speaking of that, Ed, are we allowed to announce anything yet, or is it you still don't know yet?
I have not got the green light, but I'll see if I can get it before this ends. So
so send him a text message or whatever you got to do. Say, because I think that would be cool to. If not, we can always announce it on Sunday. We have Ryan Waste coming on, obviously from Bat and Municipal Waste and Vulture. So we can announce it that night. So we're actually keeping a little busy this week. We've been banging out some episodes. It's weird. We're like feast or famine. Like sometimes we'll go like 10 days, 11 days, 12 days without shit. And lately we have been just rolling them out. And that's like this show. This was, like I said, spur of the moment. Like, hey, let's do a show. And like Sunday again. I'm actually looking forward to having Ryan on. Have you listened to the new Bat record?
I did. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's pretty fucking heavy, man. And I like when I listen to stuff when I'm not like later in the day. Because I listen to it at 5 a.m. when I'm at the gym.
See, I like to listen straight through. Do you like to go from like I want to hear the whole album from top to bottom? Like I used to in high school.
So what I've been doing is, unless it's a fucking hour and 10-minute record, I generally gauge my workout. I look at the record and see how long it is, and I kind of gauge my workout by the length of the record. Because I don't like to. Because who knows, the last song you don't listen to, you may not listen to it, and then it winds up. That was the best song on the, you know what I mean? So, and I've done that a lot lately. So I went through the whole record. Yeah, I went through the whole thing. And I was, like I got to say, man, the dude plays in, a couple killer fucking bands, man. I mean,
always on the road, I got to say, man, a lot of our guests, we always say we book ourselves. We go through them ourselves and we do go through some, I guess you would say publicists or whatever to get some guests, but most 97 or 96% of our guests, we go out and get, or we know them, or find a way to get them on the show. Ryan's been great. I mean, you would not even. I mean, the dude is just,
his communication
his
is ridiculous.
Communications killer. So looking forward to have him. I know he's a big horror guy too, and I know he's working on a horror movie script. He's actually, I think he's finished the script, but I know he's got a whole plan for that. And he's into the same. I love the old. You remember, Ed, the old. It was the '80s was big on this, and even early '90s, the heavy metal horror movies. Which were, some of them were absolutely fucking awful, but I love them anyway because they have a certain charm to them. Like Hard Rock Zombies in '95 was a pretty bad fucking movie, but it was a certain group of those films. Terror on Tour, which had like a band called the Clowns on it, which was basically like a Kiss lookalike band. Black Roses from '88, which I'm sure you've seen that, right? With Karma on a Piece was in that. A lot of Lizzie Borden music. Another one that, I mean, I love the movie, but it's definitely, the plot really is not that great. Zombie Nightmare, The Gate. You remember The Gate, right? In '87. Oh, yeah. Trick or Treat in '86 with Sammy Kerr. They even had like Ozzy in that movie. Gene Simmons.
Some of these movies, were like, even like Clerks, like didn't get any notoriety, but then became,
classics in a way. Like
they became, iconic because over time people started understanding what it was. Nightbreed. Is, at first people were like, "What the fuck?" And dude, that movie.
Killer movie.
That was a great movie.
Do you remember? Have you ever seen Trick or Treat? Not the later one with Sammy Kerr and all that.
Yeah, the early ones. Yep.
Do you remember who the main kid was in that movie? And I'm only going to remember his other name on a TV show. I'm not going to remember his actual real name. But when I tell you his Skippy from Family Ties.
You know what?
He's the main kid in that movie. Yep.
When you said that, I wouldn't have pulled Skippy. Because I know his real name, and I can't now. You said Skippy.
Yeah, I can't think of his real name either. But Skippy, I can't forget. But you had him in that movie. Deathgasm, which is out of New Zealand. They make those films, which actually will be in the next Deathgasm. I guess it's Deathgasm 2. Will be in the credits for that, Tampa Morgue. And then Shock 'em Dead in '91, which had Tracy Lords. I used to like a lot of those old movies. They had when you go to like Trick or Treat with the Sammy Kerr version and stuff, where they always had like the posters on the wall, like I think Shock 'em Dead had like the Wasp poster, the TSOL poster, and then even if you go to the later movies now, like the Terrifier 2, the Overkill poster was on the wall. There was like, I always like that homage to heavy metal kind of thing going on. Dream Warriors from Nightmare on Elm Street, which is probably, besides the first one, because how is the first one not your favorite in a lot of ways, but Dream Warriors was probably my second favorite of all the films. But yeah, Ryan's coming on, Ryan Waste, and that should be a killer interview. New Bad album's coming out. And like I said, he's working on a movie. I know he's working with Norman Cabrera. So I don't, who's done a lot of shit, obviously Hellboy, he worked on The Walking Dead. God, I mean, I don't know. It'd be pretty cool, man. I'm interested to get him on the show. He'll be on here Sunday. So everyone will probably catch that Monday morning for the most part. He'll be on here Sunday night. We'll record. And looking forward to that, So, and Ed, you had, before we go on a little bit here, you had yourself a little. So we did this show on Friday, probably, right? We had Pooch on from Raped Ape. Whoever did not hear that episode that was on, we did that show Friday, which is it was a killer episode. We had Pooch is actually a tattoo artist and an artist. He paints with acrylics, oil, and canvas. He does gallery shows. Was with a Southern Florida band called Raped Ape, which, in Florida was a pretty, is a name that we all remember and is, one of those bands that you always hear about. But they just put out, obviously, they did this year, they actually re-released the 30th anniversary record. We have a whole episode on that last Friday. So I talked to Ed. Ed was having an okay day. Ed's got his wife a new car. My wife got a new car, so everything's rolling good. And Ed, what happened, man? Because when I talked to you on Saturday, you were fucking livid.
No, I think actually, we were a day back because I think we recorded with him Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah. So
Friday,
we put it on Friday.
Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, obviously we talked about it. My mom passed away. My son actually got her car, took it over, was going to buy it, and was driving it for, I don't know, since I want to say December or January, something like that. He's had it for 3 or 4 months, and then he realizes that he's going to be done with college, and he's got student loan coming up. So he's like, I don't want a car payment. And I was like, well, sorry, you can't just. That's not how life works. You can't just stop.
Especially in 2024.
Yeah. But as we've talked, I know I've talked to you before. My wife had a Kia Forte, and thanks to fucking TikTok and their stupidity and fucking making people do stupid shit, they taught people how to break into them with a USB stick and steal them. And so my car insurance for my wife's car went up. Let's just say I drive a $50-something thousand Lariat F-150. Her car was $1,100 more to insure than my truck. Her car's $21,000. You know what I mean? So,
crazy.
So we wound up selling that at CarMax. Thank you, CarMax. They gave me a fucking killer deal, and I got out of that fucking thing. So, long story short, I had a Chevy Avalanche. You've seen that truck over the years. My son wanted it. I gave it to him because I still had it. My wife got his car, which is a 2017 Ford Escape. So my mom had the complete service package for like forever on this thing. So I take it in for an oil change and tire rotation.
And so the story begins.
Yeah. Well, and of course, the car's got, it's a 2017 with 16,000 miles on it. That's like brand new. You know what I mean? And it's a titanium, which means it's top of the line. And anyway, they come out and tell me that at 16,000 miles, it needs new tires, it needs rear brakes. And I'm thinking to myself, here we go. Yeah, that's exactly. I did have it. I did have it. So anyway, he takes me out there and the guy shows me the fucking brakes. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Hindsight, the brakes were covered under the service package. So what are we talking about? Why are you telling me about it? You know what I mean? So anyway, long story short, I take the car, they finish. As soon as I leave the parking lot, I know something's wrong because I hear a creaking. And I'm like, nope. So I'm trying to turn around and go back. And lo and behold, the fucking front wheel blows through the fender, falls off. The guy never put the lug nuts on. And here goes the wheel fucking rolling 100 feet down the fucking road. And yeah, Angry Ed, you ain't seen that guy because this fucking dude. This was.
I wanted to call you and record you actually for the show because you were so fucking livid.
Yeah, dude. I've been mad many times. You've seen me mad at the club at a certain person. This made that look like I was having a talk with him because I walked in. First of all, I walked up back to the parking lot, and there was some black dude working on a car, and I started fucking screaming at him. Like, because he's standing there and I'm like, I told him, I said, my fucking front wheel fell off, motherfucker. I said, and, I pointed and all of a sudden I see just all these dudes looking like little ants. And then I went inside, like 7, 8 customers in there and I fucking let them have it. And, yeah, dude, there were people flying from the other side across the street in the main place. Dude, it was a fucking.
This is a recording we have from Ed when he went back into the place.
Yep, and they're lucky because I left my other clip on the seat, Joe Hubar style. Anyway, yeah. So now I'm dealing with that. I called a lawyer. I'm fucking trying to figure it out. You were so
pissed. I told my wife we had bought our car home. My wife.
Well, I sent you. You sent me a message saying what's up, and we were talking about. You were asking me about the YouTube version of the rape date. The pooch.
Oh yeah, the interview. Yeah.
And I'm like, because that's what you messaged me. Go, hey bro, let me know when you upload the MP4. And I go, here bro, this is why I can't upload the MP4. And you were just like, what? I was sending you pictures of the car, and you were just like, what the fuck? And dude, yeah. I was, dude, you were
livid. You were pissed off. I remember. I said to my wife, I said I was going to send you a picture of her car because she just got an X-Trail, a Nissan X-Trail, which I don't know if they have in the States. It's a Nissan.
It's a different name.
It's a beautiful car. She just got this. Yeah. She was all happy, and I was like, "Oh, let me send Ed the pictures." And then when Ed sent me the pictures of fucking his car toppled over.
Dude, with no wheel, fucking the fucking
No
front end
fucking
skidded
wheel.
30 feet on the fucking pavement. Bro, first of all, I almost hit the car next to me when the wheel fell off. Luckily, I steered it, corrected it. Then there's a tree in the median that I almost clipped. So I'm thinking, man, if this had been my mom or my wife driving the car, this would have been bad, dude. Like, this would have been, and that's what was going through my head. And yeah, no, I flipped the fuck out. I'm still flipping the fuck out. And then Monday I went in there and flipped the fuck out because I'm not getting any. I call and they put me in a fucking loop. And dude, when you can't get a hold of somebody, dude, that's when you start to flip out. And I went in and grabbed all the managers. Like I fucking.
Well, that's what it is now, right? Even if you call up anybody to try to get help, they're getting sent to 25 different answering machines. Like to get a hold of a human being on a phone is sometimes almost impossible.
Well, they just kept looping me. They kept sending me to different people because they didn't want to deal with it. Because once they found out who I was, I don't think they're like, oh, fuck that. This guy's going to fucking
going to go crazy. We're going to be on the Bay 9 News.
But, when I went in there, I just, I made sure I told them straight up, if it's not right when it's done, I'm not accepting it. I'm sorry, you can't replace this car. Like, and I'm not taking Blue Book value for this fucking car, considering how new it is. So, and the worst part was like, my wife was like, I felt like I had a piece of your mom, like she's gone. So like something like cool to,
So what did they do? They forgot to put the bolts back on the tires?
They didn't put the lug nuts on the wheel. On the front wheel. So they just, as soon as I left the parking lot, the wheel, that creaking I heard was the wheel coming loose. But the problem is you'd have to see the layout. I had to go to the stoplight because there's no way you're pulling right out into a major road like Florida Avenue here in Tampa. I had to go do a U-turn and then try to make another U-turn to get back to the service area. And I never made it because that wheel came right off. And the thing is when I watched the front left fender blow out, of the fucking car, and I seen the hood buckle, and then I fucking realized that I'm trying to fight to keep this thing on the road, and then all of a sudden the car dips and I see the fucking wheel rolling down the road. Yeah, dude, I flipped the fuck out. There's no doubt about it. And I'm not even ashamed to say it.
I know. And I swear I wish I could have had a moment of recording. I said, man, I'm sure Ed you were fired up and, totally understandable, man. It's how did you get a confirmation if we can announce it yet or no?
No, it's 12:45. Some people are still sleeping.
And that's right. Yeah, here at this
people have no lives and they do their things. But no, if we get it by the end of the show, I'll let you know.
Yeah. So, and that's that. Also, one more note on the show before I want to talk I'm going to play a couple tunes that actually Ed was involved with. I want to talk about a few things here, but I do want to say we actually booked. So June 15th, we're usually pretty much like a lot of different rock, metal, extreme metal, black metal, hard, like all those. We're actually going to have we're going to have Bloody F Mess on, which I've known Bloody for about over 20 years, probably. When I was growing up in Jersey, I was listening to Bloody Mess and the Scabs. It's he's a punk rocker. He's been around forever. He has a radio show too, actually. It should be I'll tell you, even if you never heard of Bloody Mess, it should be a great interview. This guy, Gigi Allen stayed with him. He was very close with Gigi. He's had a hell of he's got a lot of shit that he's done. It's gonna be a great episode. I'm actually looking forward to having Bloody on.
It might end up being like the Tom Brady Netflix special. It may be, we might do 2 hours and it's cut down to like 36 minutes.
I think that he got Gigi his first X-Lax. Like he was the one that actually the first night that Gigi did that. So we're going to find out. I mean, this guy has a history. I
wonder what episode that'll be, because that'll be the last one we ever do. Because
it'll be. I think that'll be episode. I don't know what it'll be actually, because it's not till next month. It's June 15th.
Oh yeah, we'll have plenty of stuff before.
Yeah, we'll have stuff before that. But I'm really excited about this one, and I know it's it's definitely our first old school punk guy like this. But I've known Bloody for a while, and it should be an excellent show, whether you know his music or not. Because like I said, this dude's been around, and chaos was a big thing with his whole life. But he's been playing forever. And Ed, you've been playing forever too. And I figure since you've had such a shitty week, and we're kind of pulled this show out of our ass tonight. I was actually listening. I was talking to somebody, a couple different people actually, about some of the bands you've played with. Because it's funny because whenever I talk to people, your vocals are always what gets mentioned, even though you've played bass on almost every project you do. Like, pretty much besides. Well, now that I think about it, besides Massacre and Monstrosity, and you
That's it.
haven't had a bass. That's it. That's the only times.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, for me and most people on this show, I'll start out with a few basic things that I ask everybody on the show. But you're born in Cliffwood, New Jersey, which we've mentioned several times on this show.
Nope, that's it. That's
No.
incorrect.
So where were you born at?
Edison.
Oh, Edison. See, I don't even know.
I lived in Cliffwood Beach. That was my
lived
last.
in Cliffwood.
I was born in Edison.
Edison. See, I don't even know you.
Yeah.
I don't even know you, man.
Edison. Yep.
Edison. When did you move to Florida?
80. The end of 84. Beginning of 85. So October. Actually, we pulled into Florida Halloween of 84.
84. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, it was dude, I'm telling you, it was a weird time in my life.
And you were what age about then?
Almost 14, 15.
14
like,
years
so
old.
I was in high school because ninth grade was high school. So, because I started earlier than most because my birthday was June. So I started, like when I was 5, I was already, kids were catching up later. So, so it was weird, man. I went to Gaither, it was only open 2 years then.
Wow.
So it was like new. So it was the whole development where we lived was kind of newer. I wasn't used to that. Jersey was old. Where you lived, it always looked old. Like New York, it's just old. It always looked old. So yeah, it was a culture shock.
And 14, you were already. What was your first record? I don't know if you ever told me your first record.
My first record?
Yeah. What was the first record you ever got? Because for me, it was probably those. When I think of myself, I don't even categorize these usually in this, but you may actually agree. You remember how you used to buy those like Star Wars books with the tapes and shit like that? Like it was like you read while they play the tapes. Yep. That actually was probably my first record. So that might have been, they had the Muppets.
Maybe,
and all that.
Probably, yeah. That sounds about right. That or like early days of Dungeons and Dragons had that same thing, something like that. I mean, but first record, believe it or not, my dad, it was two records. He brought me and this is, my dad had everything. Journey. My dad was Gatlin Brothers, Alabama. He was all over the fucking spectrum with music. He liked everything, man. Styx, REO Speedwagon. So I got to be a very eclectic. My dad, there was a guitar in my house at an early age. I've seen it in pictures. I'm holding it, so I don't know. But my dad knew how to play guitar chords, like the actual chords, not a fucking metal chord. I'm talking about all the actual chords on a guitar.
Now, did you learn guitar or bass first? Was guitar the first thing you pretty much started jamming on?
No, so well, first let me answer the question. It was my dad bought me Twisted Sister and then the live Ozzy record with Randy Rhoads. Those were the two that he brought me for me to have, not
Stay
for
Hungry?
his collection. Yep. It was weird. He said the guy looked like something that, he said it looked cool. And probably a week later, it was Quiet Riot. I don't know where he had found those. I don't know where he found that. I had all kinds of stuff coming from my neighbors because they had 8 tracks. So Zeppelin, Sabbath. But my dad, those were the first records that I remember physically owning myself from him. Plus, not to mention, we were big keyboard players. We had an organ in my house. So I could play the organ. I learned how to play, Jump and Home Sweet Home. And
see, you learn shit all the time. I never knew this about you.
Yeah, we had an organ in my house. Yeah, man, we had an organ in my house for many, many, many years. And like I said, my dad was musical. And there was a time my neighbor across the street had a Flying V. I wanted to buy it. I remember my mom dropping me off at a music store to get it restrung. And then she told me I couldn't buy it. So I bought the strings for my neighbor and never got to buy the guitar. And it was cheap back then. It was probably $100, but she's like, yeah, no, you don't need that. So needless to say, who knows what would happen, but yeah, no, that was a different time. I don't think my parents ever saw music. I was into sports. I was a sports guy. I played football, ice hockey, roller hockey, baseball. I wrestled. So like that took a lot of time out of my life as a kid. But I was also into hanging out with the burnout dudes, and
you rode bikes too, didn't you, a lot?
I did. We did BMX. That was the thing back then. So yeah, and there were a couple kids in my neighborhood that were like probably the start of my downfall. Because this kid Chris, I remember, I want to say his name's Chris O'Keefe. He took me to his house, and he had um, Merciful Fate, Melissa. He had fucking like stuff like that. The stuff that I
The
shouldn't
stuff that
be.
really, yeah, when you first hear that shit,
Early
it's kind of
Raven. He
like
had Early
confusion.
Raven.
Like,
He had Early Raven records. He had Venom, and he made me copies of them so I can remember. Because see, the heaviest I got was, and I think I've mentioned this. The first two records I bought with my own money was the first one was Hell Awaits on cassette, and the same day I bought Black Metal by Venom on record. And I'll never forget. My mom gave it was birthday money. She waited outside of Sam Goody's. I came out with the bag, and she's like, "Let me see what you got." And I was like, "Oh, it's nothing." And she saw the Venom cover and the fucking Slayer Hell Awaits cover, and she was like, "Huh, okay." And then she said that was the last time she was going to let me go buy music myself, because the
yeah,
covers, you know what I mean? I mean, it was
yeah, that was
obvious.
the big thing back then. Is like the covers always, kind of. That was even if you watch the old Satanic Panic shit, you always saw like the album
Oh
covers and
yeah,
the artwork.
yeah.
And
But
like
she
I
was
always
happy
say,
when
you
I
can
showed
always.
her the Motley Crue record, and she's like, "Shout at the devil." She's like, "Oh, I'll buy that for you." Because I was raised Catholic. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but I was communion, confirmation. I can remember I fucking did something, and my mom, it was Christmas time, and she took me to the church and made me talk to the priest doing the fucking confession. And I could hear her in there fucking, he's out of control. And oh my God, rah, rah, rah. You would think I was fucking like setting animals on fire with a magnifying glass or something. Dude, I didn't do shit. They always over exaggerated it. They just, we were growing up. We were kids. We were fucking, back then you were hyper. You left when the sun came up. You came home when the street lights came on.
Yeah,
That was it. That's
everyone
how it
rode their
was, man.
bikes around and shit. It was
Nobody
pretty
was
much
worried
the.
about some dude grabbing you in a van, and it didn't happen, man. And that's what we did. We got on our bikes and we took off. So yeah, I mean, but that was probably my first into the metal. Now, as far as first the instrument, it was definitely a bass. My dad had a golf store here in Tampa. That's why he moved here. He was a car mechanic, and he's like, "No, I'm done. I don't want to do it no more." He was doing golf, making his own golf clubs up there in a garage, and they decided my aunt had moved here to Longwood, and my mom's company, she worked for ADP, which is like they do your payroll. They had a company here in Tampa, so my mom flew down, found the house, got the job. They transferred her, and that's how it all worked. That I came to Tampa because of her job. And my dad decided he wasn't getting a job. He opened up a store, started selling golf shit, and he took off. He was killing it. So where he had it was called Mission Bell. There was a Kmart and a bunch of little stores and a movie theater, and there was a Consolidated Music. And I would walk over there when I was at my dad's store, and I would just look, and they had all this stuff. And my neighbor across the street that I've talked about, that was the punk hardcore dude, he got a bass. So I'm like, he's like, if you get a bass, we can fucking, practice together. And I was like, fuck yeah. So I went over there, and it was my birthday, I think, again. And my mom's like, all right, let's go see it. And my first bass was a Flying V, and it didn't work. So I
That's.
had to take it back. And then they had an Explorer bass, Hondo Explorer, which nowadays these fucking things are sought after. I look for one. I want to buy one just to have it. But yeah, traded it in, got that. And me and that dude, his name was Tito, um, that same store, the guy offered lessons. And one time, we went in there, and he's like, "What do you want to learn?" And we said, "Number of the Beast." And I watched how the dude was fucking playing the song for a minute, and then he would try to figure out the notes and find the root note and did all that. And we're paying this dude like $25. And I'm like, wait a minute. And he basically showed us like only half the song. And we went home, and I wound up learning the rest of the song the same way. I would just play it, find the note, and that's how I learned how to play. I had one lesson and then learned how to do it myself.
And you saved yourself some money too, and a lot of guys we talk to have obviously they taught themselves how to play and stuff. Imagine now with YouTube, you'd be less Claypool.
Been so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, and your first, so you're in Tampa, and we already talked about your first band actually, pretty much, right? When we talked about what was it? What was the name of it again? Uneat. Yeah, and you said you were practicing next to Eulogy, so I think you were in Eulogy in '94, weren't you?
It was 95.
95? Because you were on that Lesson in Fear demo.
I was. Yeah, so the way it worked is I don't remember how things went bad for him. If I remember correctly, Jarrett used to live in Virginia, and I think he went away for a month or something happened. He went home, and Clay, Bearden, Jay Fernandez, and Jason Avery did something. They made a band, and it was I don't know. I don't think Jarrett really liked it, but it was called Angel Trumpets, and
great name for a band.
It was pretty cool. The band was good because you've got killer musicians. Jay Fernandez, whatever, whatever my thoughts are there.
He's definitely a killer.
He's a killer musician. And then Clay Gore was just still to this day, one of the most phenomenal drummers I've ever played with as a bass player. Because as a lock-in, there's only been a couple, and Clay is one of them. And they made this CD record, Angel Trumpets. It wasn't death metal. It was like almost typo negative-ish, because that's where Mike Bearden, the original bass player, they were leaning. And when Jarrett came back, I don't know. I guess those dudes wanted I think that's the direction they wanted to go. So they left Eulogy. I want to say Jay Fernandez was playing guitar for them at that point. He came over, and Jarrett and One Eye and Clay came over to our practice and then asked if I wanted to come play. And I was like, well, fuck yeah, because we weren't doing nothing really. And we started playing. And then soon after, they got our guitar player, Dave Sawyer, and that was the lineup. And two of the songs on Lesson in Fear and Human Harvest are songs we were playing in Uneat.
We should play one of them now. What do you want to play?
Human Harvest. That's probably one of my favorite songs. All the Eulogy songs are good, but this was where people were like, holy shit, because Eulogy was known for being fast, except for The Essence, because the song The Essence was just a fucking long, brutal, drawn out, fucking chaotic mess. It was it was such a great song. That whole record was great, but they were known for being fast because they wanted to be Morbid Angel, like better than Morbid Angel. They grew up, their influences were like Morbid Angel, At the Gates, that style of music, just fucking, chaotic, harmonic, fast. So yeah, Human Harvest, we kind of slowed it down a little bit. And I remember I wasn't even there when they put it together. Dave and Jared, I was pissed off actually at these dudes. I was at somebody else's house, a friend of ours, a mutual friend, and they came over and were like, dude, check this out. We put this together, and it was the riffs we were using in this other song and Human Harvest. And I was like, holy fuck. And I realized that, okay, we got something pretty killer happening here. Because Jared's a mastermind. Jason, he speaks for himself. His vocals were fucking killer. And yeah, this song is fucking, to me.
Think about some of those guys involved, like you're mentioning, like Jared and, Jay Fernandez, Avery. There really is some players. Pretty killer.
There was, and, again, epic. So yeah, Human Harvest.
Here's Human Harvest off the 1995 Lesson in Fear demo. We'll be right back on the Tampa Morgue after this track. you go. That was Human Harvest off the Lesson in Fear demo, featuring our boy here, Mr. Ed Webb. So after that, you did what? Contorted, right?
No, not exactly.
Because you did Contorted 97, right? Was that correct when you started Contorted, you guys?
Yes. So you'd have to. So basically, long.
Or Diabolic,
you want
right?
you want the, no. That's later. So basically, when Eulogy went bye, me and Dave, we tried to do something. I wrote some other tunes, and we just couldn't find a band. And then Tony Loriano, we met up with him. This dude was delivering pizzas. He's always a fucking badass. And we just give him some, dude, give me some thongs. And I'm like, all right, here you go. And he delivering pizzas, dude. Next thing you know, we're jamming, and he fucking just wrote drums to these 3 songs. And we were practicing next to Cannibal Corpse and Brutality. And I remember, and this band called Execration, if I remember correctly. And I remember Alex Webster walking over and looking, and he was just like, "What the fuck, man? Like, what's going on?" Because it was just harmonies, like lots of crazy fucking harmonies, and but non-sustainable, and just couldn't find a band, man. And I remember at that point, Jason Avery got added to Monstrosity, because he was out of a band. George went to Cannibal, and on and off they were looking for guitar players, and I was like, dude, you know, hook me up. And he's like, yeah, I can't, dude. You're not, he basically said like, you're not good enough, but I got a band for you. And he hooked me up with Scott Regal and Brutality. So, yeah, you wouldn't know that because their Wikipedia page pretends I was never part of the fucking band.
How long were you in Brutality for?
Maybe a year and a half, 2 years, or just less. I mean, we enough to do a fucking bunch of shows and Milwaukee Metal Fest. I mean, we played the Milwaukee Metal Fest. We were supposed to do a tour leading to the Milwaukee Metal Fest with Hypocrisy, but a couple of the guys in the band, they just, didn't. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to sling mud, but they know. But we did do Milwaukee because I went to the house of Nuclear Blast, and so it was like, dude, you fucked us on this tour, because it was basically we didn't get an RV. Me and Scott went to pick up an RV. We don't have an RV, so they were like, we're not doing the tour, even though it could have been rectified. But I said, you're going to get us to Milwaukee, and he did. We rented a van and we fucking drove to Milwaukee and played. That was the year Venom played, the real Venom. That was the year like Cryptopsy, Eternal Bleeding. I mean, if I could go through Malevolent Creation. Actually, Rob Barrett let me use his fucking rectifier. So yeah, I was in the band. We played. Again, everything is short lived for whatever reason.
And that led to Contorted.
That did. So basically, the way it went down was somebody wanted to get rid of one of the guys. Everybody had agreed, and then somebody changed their mind midstream. So the band disbanded. And basically it just left Pete and Jim Coker, and me. So we decided, we wrote 3 or 4 new songs for the Brutality record. We decided to form a new band when we called it Contorted. And we wound up writing a bunch of stuff. Originally I was going to play, because I played guitar in Brutality. So I was going to play guitar and sing. I was going to do the vocals. And we did one show, the Deicide, that benefit show that wound up, everybody talks about how it wound up being a fucking scam.
What year was that?
90, had to be 98. It was either the end of 97 or early 98, because at that point I was also in Diabolic. So yeah, we played that one show. We had Brian Hipp from Brutality playing bass, which was fucking strange. He should have been playing guitar. But yeah, so we played that show, and after that, we got rid of Brian, went on to do something else. I decided to slide back to bass because I felt more comfortable playing and singing on the bass. I was also doing another band at the time called Execration, which I was doing at the same time as Brutality and just pre-Diabolic. and that's the Execration, that same fucking show I'm talking about. Ulcer played, Swamp Gas played, I think. Monstrosity played. It was a big festival at the Cuban Club, and the same night, Diabolic booked a show at the Mug because they're brain dead and didn't realize you don't go up against Monstrosity and Deicide at a festival, but that's another story.
Were you were in Diabolic at this time?
I was at this time. So basically, when we started Contorted, we were doing that for probably a little while. I think we did a show with Diabolic. I know I did a show with Diabolic for sure with Brutality. Maybe 2 shows, but I can't remember if we did with Contorted. But Brian had called me and was like, "Hey, we saw a video you playing bass, blah blah blah. I think you saw me with Execration." And
this is Brian Malone.
Yeah, because I was doing this band with Diabolic. Steve. So George Sykes, which is Pete's brother. This guy Steve Bailey, Mark Cooper, who you know from Mark Cooper Art.
Yep, and work for us.
And me, and I don't. It might have been Kobe singing. I don't remember. I think it was Kobe. It's a blur back then. We opened the show with Brutality. They wanted to fucking open, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know your stuff. And they're like, yeah, well, we want to play. And I'm like, I went up there and did just DiGiorgio the whole fucking thing, dude. I didn't even know the songs. I pretended. Yeah.
And what year was that around?
That had to be the end of 96 because that was that was getting towards the end of the Brutality era with us.
And with the Diabolic, because we'll get back to Contorted though, because you didn't put out. I think Contorted didn't put out anything until 2003 release wise, but you did Supreme Evil with Diabolic.
I did.
You just say you did. So okay, so you did that with Diabolic.
That
that lineup was what? Paul, Brian Malone, Antar,
and me. Yep.
And you. Yep. So so you guys did Supreme Evil. Where'd you guys record that at?
Audio Lab.
Audio Lab. Okay. So I actually practiced at Audio Lab. We actually shared a room with a version of Diabolic.
Mm-hmm.
And Cannibal Corpse actually practiced next to us there. I believe.
Yeah, Cannibal. I don't know if Cannibal practiced there when we were there.
We were there. They were there. It was probably. If Infinity came out,
2003.
So Infinity came out in 2003. It was right in that same time period because So there's a couple of reasons why I know that actually. You guys did Supreme Evil.
Unfortunately, there was a whole clusterfuck because I was in actually 3 bands at one time. I was in Execration, Contorted, and Diabolic, kind of at the same time. Execration was on the heels of me being in Brutality. Contorted was like right after, and then at that particular show, the Cuban Club, that was the night I said I couldn't do Execration anymore because I just couldn't do 3 bands, and that was the night I met Mike Pagioni, and
which we know Mike from
Steve Bailey.
And
I hooked him up with Steve Bailey and was like, he asked me in the parking lot, random dude walks up to me and says, anybody looking for a bass player? And I was like, yep, this guy right here. And that got me my commitment to Execration kind of done. And Mike blew up from that. So good for him. But yeah, so Supreme Evil.
Supreme Evil. And then you guys, and then 2003, you guys put out, what came first? Was it the Aftermath demo or the Infinity? I think Aftermath came out before Infinity.
Aftermath was done early 2000.
Because you gave me a copy of that, yeah. So you guys released that. When did you release that though? Aftermath. Aftermath came out in 2003. Actually, the physical release of it, or was it before that?
I think it was. Before that. Yeah, because we had recorded that with Dana Walsh at his fucking house. I did the vocals in a bathroom, so that'll tell you.
I recorded with Dana too. But it was over in.
That was where we recorded the main record.
I recorded over there. Well, let's play really fast. I'm going to play let me see here. So Contorted was. I will play. So we're going to play a Diabolic track from the Infinity Through Purification record, which is 2003. And we're going to play the song "The Astral Plane Entwined with Infinity." That came out Olympic Records.
It did.
And now it's out in vinyl. Have you seen it yet? A copy of it?
No, I have not. I was told I was going to get a copy, but that never happened. Got lost in the mail. We'll just say we'll blame the mail people.
an interesting fact about that record, the Infinity Through Purification, whoever lives in Tampa, especially during the 2003, 2004, 2005 time period, there was actually, so the Masquerade, that was the Masquerade at that time, I think, again, because it was like, Ritz, Masquerade, blah, 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 flip flop. The Infinity Room was actually named after that record, Infinity Through Purification, which was the side room, because there was the big concert venue and there was the side room. So that actually was named after that record. But we're going to play From the Astral Plane, Entwined with Infinity, off the Diabolic Infinity Through Purification record from 2003, and we'll come back and talk some more. We'll be back on the morgue after this track. That was From the Astral Plane, Entwined with Infinity, from the Diabolic Infinity Through Purification record. It came out in 2003. And that, it was pretty much, I was around during that time period, and that was pretty much where it ended with you and them. And that was the end of your Diabolic time. Which that was pretty much like, it was kind of, even if I remember correctly, it was kind of almost over before the record even hit the shelves, maybe in a lot of ways. But you did that, so you left that band, and then, you're still with Contorted, because I remember booking shows at Venom, and I used to book you guys in Contorted. And at that time, I believe it was Pete Sykes, you, Damien Heftel, who we've both played in bands with, and Jim Coker.
That's it. That was the lineup. We went between two guitar players pretty much. It was oddly enough Dave Sawyer.
Who we also played with in Generichrist and Cemetery Slut. I played with him in, and you've played with him in several different bands.
Yep. So he was in the early stages of Contorted, after trying to find people forever. That's why I wound up sliding back to bass, because we tried several different bass players and it just didn't work. So it was easier for me just to do bass, because guitar players were everywhere. But yeah, so
you guys were doing, what shows did you guys do with Contorted? I know you at Venom, we booked you a few times, but you guys were doing a lot of shows back then, because I saw you guys at and those Brass Mug is an iconic, like very legendary bar in Tampa, which has moved 3 times. So that's why when we say like Brass Mug 1, 2, or 3, well, I remember, Contorted was playing at the original Brass Mug, which was there forever, which was like one of the legendary.
We played, we actually did some shows with, believe it or not, I'm pretty sure it was Geigen, and Vital Remains. I think that was the tour, if I remember right. We've played with Death Angel. We played Nasty Savage.
Death Angel show was great. I was at that show. It was a great show.
We did a lot of shows. As Contorted, we did Your Club. We did Venom. We played.
Did you guys play with? So you guys played I do remember
Deicide show.
The Deicide show. You guys did which was crazy, because we had the show. It was Christian. No, I'm thinking of a different show. So we booked. So you guys weren't on the show. It was the Christian Hate Eternal show. I'm thinking about where the attendance was awful for such a great lineup. You did the Malevolent Creation show there, right? You guys played. You did the Malevolent Creation show, which
with Equinox.
With Equinox, yep, I remember that. Which was, God, it's so long ago. I need to see the flyers of this. I haven't even looked at one of those magazines with all the flyers. But you did that show.
That's a particular show that that's an Angry.
That was an Angry Ed show. I remember that show. Yes, that was definitely an Angry Ed show. You did that. You guys did the show at, which was after this time period. Contorted. You guys did the was it the Ritz at that time, or the Massacre? You guys did the emergency show, right, where you were filling in
for Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, because I was real good friends, because Diabolic had done my last, my first stint with Diabolic ended in 2000, and that was a doomed tour from the beginning. I mean, we were driving around in an old fucking RV, which, I mean, it was awesome. It was better than a van, but we knew, I knew, I'm like, man, the guy we had doing mechanic work just wasn't, I don't know, dude. But who
were you guys booking through at that time? Do you guys have a booking agent, or were you guys booking on your own?
I think we did it on our own. I think we dealt directly with Cannibal back then. Because Paul, was it Paul Pavikian? I think that was his name, man. He was their manager. And I mean, they were cool to us on the whole tour, but we had drunken fights, escapades, my basses got stolen in New York, Brian Hipp's Brutality guitar he recorded When the Sky Turns Black got stolen that same night. Mine was a custom BC Rich, one of a kind fucking igniter bass that I waited 9 fucking months for, and it gets stolen. That was week 1. I think so. Yeah, we just had so many fucking things that went wrong. And
when you say fights, was it like band members fighting each other?
Oh yeah. Drunk, because of people being drunk, or being just egomaniacs. We broke down finally in Colorado and rented a U-Haul in the middle of the fucking winter. 3 dudes in the front, 3 dudes in the back, and some guys thought they were rock star enough that they should be up front, while the singer, is in the freezing cold with no heat, which is fine. That's how that worked, because at that point, Paul was gone. The lineup was me, Brian Hipp on guitar, Malone, and Antar, and I was singing and playing bass. Paul was gone. And we had already written Subterranean Magnitude, people don't know I wrote the lyrics for that record and never got credited. So I'll say it right now. That's a fact. Read the lyrics. And when I see them play Extinction Level,
for you.
well, when I see them play Extinction Level Event, and I talk to one of the old guys that were playing in the band, and they didn't even know. First of all, they make like they never realized I was even in the band, and the fact that I wrote all that shit because they don't even know what the song's about. And I'm like, really, you don't even know, and you're singing it though. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the kind of shit that pissed me off. But yeah, when that the last show was 2000, that was that tour. The tour was great because that was Hate Eternal's first tour. And Jared Anderson, I became such good friends with him and Eric Rattan. As a matter of fact, rest in peace, Jared. That guy was so cool that he offered me his bass, backup bass, because he was using Tucker's old bass, Steve Tucker from Morbid. And he's like, just use my bass. And, we're like, no. We wind up buying a bass, and Brian winds up buying the exact same fucking bass. And I'm like, dude, I could have just used this dude's bass and saved the money. But anyway, long story short, after I left the band, Jared came down here to do shows for when Tucker quit, and he gave me the bass. Like, here, you got fucked. Take this. I traded him a little something towards it, and he was like, he didn't want any extra money. He just said, dude, you got screwed. You deserve better. And so I had something to start a new band with. Because I hadn't, I came back, I made no money on that tour. I was gone for 6 weeks and made no money, nothing, not a penny on that tour. And then was out of the, quit the band. So, but Paul Pavikian, some of the stuff he encountered, watched, he always said, one day, and sure enough, we were at the Cannibal show and I saw him and he's like, dude, is your band here? And I'm like, what band? He goes, your band. And he knew the name. And I'm like, 2 of us are here. He goes, can you get your other guy? You want to play? Because Napalm Death and whoever it was with them, their bus broke down. And that was our drummer we had never played a show with, never did
Carlos.
nothing
I
with.
remember this night. I remember this night very well.
And then, of course, Damien.
He was nervous. You can't blame him, though. We've talked about it on
the
show, I think, before.
Damien was at a birthday party and didn't show up. We played as a 3-piece.
I remember that night. It's killer, though. I mean, hey, you guys pulled it off. I mean, it was you had no time to really think about it. It was like you had to get shit done. That was a spur of the moment. I totally remember that. I remember actually standing. It was you and Carlos and me were actually standing in Ybor, like across from the venue, and I remember just like everyone trying to figure out what the hell was going on, really. But yeah, I mean, so that was Contorted, and that was, what year was that?
Had to be 2001, 2002, because I wasn't back. I had not done anything with I had not been back in Diabolic yet.
Okay, so that's right, yeah, because that was prior, and then you went to did the Infinity record that we just played as one of the tracks from. So let's play a Contorted track here. Actually, let's play. We have Edge of Darkness here from, that was the 2005 album. That, like we said, that lineup was Pete Sykes, you, Damien Heftel, Jim Cocker. And you guys, was that actually, that record was supposed to be called Of Worldly Sin at first? Worldly Sins?
Probably something like that. We had a bunch of titles that we were kicking around.
You guys were going to put it out, and it got didn't the label disappear on you guys? You guys were going to put out
well, we had a label, and then that disappeared, and then we did get it out.
That was Still Dead Productions, I believe, that what you guys were supposed to put it out on.
Yep, and then we wound up the whole art thing fell through, and then we wound up with Tony Cole, and he did that album cover. And now that I think about it, that Cannibal show had to be after 2005 because Jim was gone. Once Jim left, I never played with him again.
Yeah, it was Carlos on that show.
Yeah, so that had to be probably closer to 2008,
6, 7,
maybe something like. It was definitely after the record came out, so for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to play a track off that record, Edge of Darkness from Contorted. Ed, where did you guys record this?
With Dana Walsh in that,
Dana Walsh again.
In the, where you recorded with him in that,
that storage over in Pinellas area,
yep.
right?
Yep. Dana was great because, I mean, he worked with us pretty well, and I've known Dana for forever, man. So yeah, it was easy to work with him, and we got it done pretty quick.
There you go, guys. We're going to play the track now, Edge of Darkness off the 2005 album, and we'll be right back on the Tampa Morgue after this track.
Prophecy foretells what the future holds. The realm of existence awaits in cloud sky. Lingering stench, walking decay of metropolis to play on the living scavenge of the mass intuition. Mass intuition. Burnt with nights on fire, dreaming and dawn. Dreaming and dawn. Shining thoughts reflect on images. Divine, creep away into the night. Absence devours Eulogy-Human Moonshine, bright, blinding, blinding. As evil spells unravel in chaos. Tears the mind hungry to get souls now satisfied. Restless, goes to search for living flesh. They must consume to stay alive. Drink them, blooded, desecrate to survive. When whispers darkness near, feeling all the faces and dust. It's you that cry. Dividing shame for the beating frenzy from the blackness of the night. Pray to God that you'll be saved. Land of oblivion. The silence speaks, betrayed by the dawn. Encased in the fortress of timeless serenity. The valley of torture is now forsaken. Lost the enchantment of the surroundings is right beyond the brain. Spontaneation flows through eternity fades. Edge of darkness, it breaks within.
Edge of Darkness from Contorted from 2005. So you did that, Ed. So let me see here. I'm trying to think of your timeline a little bit here because I know
It's weird because the timeline, when you said
jump
Carlos,
around a little bit.
well, because I did so much stuff with Contorted over the years. It's amazing that we never got bigger because we were on the cover of Rivet Rag.
Yeah, you guys were a killer band. I mean, everybody.
Yeah. We got a lot of accolades. We got to do a lot of killer shows. It's just like anything else. Lineup, dudes leaving, quitting, like Dave, like typical, and Damien was a staple till the end.
Well, look at DTR. You guys, that was another band, which I think that was actually your next band from Contorted, because that was 2009. Because you got with us after that, Generichrist, which we'll talk about that too. So I think
it was 2000. So if I remember correctly, 2007, end of 2007, 2008. Jim was gone. We tried Carlos, didn't work. I think we tried somebody else, it didn't work, and then ended up somehow. I don't know how Pete got with him, Angelo, and he came down
Duca from Hellfrost, and
yep, he wound up coming in and learning the stuff, and we were playing, and everything was kind of going good. Damien basically bailed on us for Nocturnus or After Death or whatever it was then. I can't remember. It was one or the other. I think it was still After Death. And he said he was too busy. So we were out a guitar player. We wound up getting this other guy. And I just didn't gel with him at all. it wasn't working for me.
And that's what led to DTR, right?
Well, yeah, because the first time I met the guy, he said he could out shred Jeff Loomis, and I was like, okay, well, that's that. Because if you like Nevermore, you know you're not out shredding Jeff Loomis. He's a good guitar player. I'm not going to dispute that, but you don't lead with that. You know, that would be like saying that, hey, yeah, I'm pretty good. I can outdo Les Claypool. No, I can't. I know I can't. You know, I can play some of his stuff, but I can't. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think basically me and Angela were like, we're done. We split. We decided we were going to still do a band together. We took us a little bit of time. I switched back to guitar, started writing riffs, and came up with the name Destined to Ruin, and wrote a couple songs, and started jamming with Angelo.
And that was you said 2007. You think?
I think it was the end of 2007 ish, 2007, 2008, because we had started writing tunes, and I remember I went to a After Death show, and Damien was there, and I'm pretty sure Dave Sawyer was playing in the band too. Wouldn't surprise me. And somehow we talked and we decided, okay, you know, we're gonna try to do this. I want to say Damien came, Dave did not. So it was just me, Dave, and Damien. Me, Angelo, and Damien. And then we got this other kid bass player who was also in After Death, and that did not work out. And finally, Dave was like, "All right, dude, I hear what you're doing. Let's do it." We wrote Damien wrote like 1 or 2 songs. I wrote probably 7 songs. We had a full length record. We put the 3-song demo out. We did that for a while, man.
You guys were killer. I know a lot of it's crazy because I thought you guys would have had a little more success than, I don't know what success is in that scene, but I really, you guys were definitely stood above a lot of the bands that I was seeing around that town at that time period.
We played a lot of cool shows. I mean, that's for sure.
I remember the Possess show, which was killer. You guys did the Possess show, which that was, I forget what year. I'm not even going to try to say. Maybe 2011, something like that. Yeah,
11. Yeah. I mean, it was the problem again. It just like every fucking time, just like what we experienced in Generichrist over and over. Band members, because we were jamming, and then I don't know what happened, but Angelo left down the line, and then we wound up getting somebody who became he's a fucking huge drummer now, Ronnie Palmer.
Ronnie
really was great, man.
Himself.
Yep. He wasn't a death metal drummer before we jammed with him.
He was using, what was it, Cataclysm? Was it?
Cataclysm. Yep.
Catalyst.
And he was killer. Catalysts.
Catalyst, something like that.
Yeah, he was killer, man, because he played the Rockstar fucking festival, and he's a good drummer, but he was badass. There's no doubt about it. We
and for those who don't know, he plays now with Perdition Temple. He also plays Malevolent Creation. So Ronnie's, been around.
He was in Brutality for a little bit. He was great. We jammed with him for a while, and again, he kind of got snaked away by fucking Gene and Perdition Temple.
Which I do love some Perdition Temple.
Well, yeah, I did. Gene tried to get me and Damien to join. I couldn't do it. Just wasn't in it. Wound up getting that guy that you saw, Thrash Metal Dave.
He played the Possess show with you guys.
He did, but he didn't play blast beats. So it kind of changed the whole sound of the whole band. And that's when I was like, all right, dude, I'm done. I knew that night that was the last show I was playing.
But then I think is when you got into, so you were in Generichrist before you were in Massacre for a couple years.
We were already. Yeah, no. So at that time, I was in Massacre. So we've kind of
2011.
2011, yeah. So 2000, DTR played the last shows. One of the last shows Angelo played with us, which is weird because it seems like this fucking venue is where Pete's new venue is, the Conduit. It was called
the Old Haven.
Haven, yeah. So we played a weird show. We were asked to play. What was Lucas's? Remember Lucas's band?
Not Sorcerer.
No. Lucas and oh god, the fucking tall blonde, fucking huge blonde dude. I can't think of their name.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
but those dudes, I cannot think of their name, dude.
Not Imperial Conquest, was it?
That's it. You got it.
Yeah, okay.
Imperial Conquest. I was about to say that too. Imperial Conquest, Destined to Ruin. We were asked to go to Orlando and play a show at the Haven with a band called M Inc. And if you don't know who M Inc. is, that was Rick Roz's band with Mike Mazzanetto. Our engineer for the Massacre record, Timmy Vasquez, played bass. Sorry, I don't remember the singer, but they played, and they were kind of a heavy, I don't want to say Pantera-ish, but that kind of heavy, brutal, just not death metal. It was heavy. And they were supposed to play that night. Mikey, the drummer, his wife went into labor and had a kid. So we were playing the show. Anyway, M Inc. didn't play. And Rick was walking around the whole night. The story goes, he watched us play, saw me playing bass and singing, and him and Butler were talking. And Terry was like, well, dude, I know Ed. And that's how I got the phone call to do Massacre.
And you were in Generichrist the year prior, because I think you were first with us in 2010, because you left for a little bit because we
earlier.
Yeah,
because actually I think it was 2008 because we played that show at the infamous.
Oh, so 2009 because right after the Fuck Ritual album came out, you got right in the band. Right when that came out, I think it was you were in the band, if I remember correctly, because that's when the whole
you did the Fuck Ritual.
2009 it came out.
Yeah, you did that after. Because I played the show with you guys at the Pegasus was my first show with Destin Room was supposed to headline, and then
chaotic night that we'll talk about at a different time.
Another Angry Ed moment. But that was my first show with you guys, and I'm pretty sure that was 2008. And so I was in Generichrist for a good while because Chick Asani was still drumming.
Yeah, because I think you came back in 2011, and then you have been in ever since. So that was the last time you ever left. Was before that.
Yeah, the end of 2010 was when I rejoined. Because you went to Puerto Rico, and then I was technically going to be back in the band for Puerto Rico. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, that was we played with Rotting Christ there. We had Mark Good, who was an Epitaph, right?
Yep, and Infineon.
Yeah, right. We played with them too, which was Taylor's.
Yeah,
that's when I first met Taylor. Actually, who's now in Deicide, was on that in Puerto Rico, and we played with him at that festival there, the Babylon Festival. But yeah, you went. So because it was 2011, you got with Massacre.
Yep.
Because I remember I was very stoked for you, man. I thought it was great. And you did the 2012 EP, Condemned to the Shadows.
Yep.
You guys did.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think of, so if you guys did that then, that would mean, because your first Generichrist release, I think, was actually in 2015, which was the Taste of Death House Ill Repute. So that means 2014, you did Back from Beyond.
Correct.
With Massacre. How was it when you were you nervous when you first got? I mean, obviously I've taught you a few times about these things, so I do know a little insight. But were you nervous the first time you jammed with Rick and them?
The first time I jammed with them,
yeah.
No, not really. It was more I was excited because I was playing with Terry and Rick. I really did my homework before we went up there, and so I knew the stuff. And again, the whole rock star movie thing. I had pictures of these dudes on my wall. That was true.
All of us had those.
That was true. I did. I had fucking pictures of Roz and fucking Butler, and I mean, obviously Glenn, Death, Chuck. I had all those pictures on my wall as a kid and or younger guy, and yeah. So it was more exciting. I don't really know if I don't think I felt nervous because, after the first song, Rick was like, "Wow, that was fucking killer." And I knew, okay, cool. This is, because you don't know. But once he was like, all right, we just kept going. And and it went fast. As you know, we were doing a show pretty quick because we did
What was your first show with Massacre?
At the Mug, at the Brass Mug.
I was there for it then.
You were. Because we played actually, and I booked the bands because Contorted played. Druid Lord probably played. I don't remember. I know they played with us a couple times, but because I remember I went up on stage with Contorted to do a couple songs singing with Kobe, and it was an absolute train wreck. So yeah, that was probably a do not do that again moment. But yeah, so that was the first show, and it went the response from the crowd was because the first thing I kept hearing is no Cam, no Massacre, no Cam, no Massacre.
But you're always going to hear that no matter, you know how it goes these days.
Yeah.
No matter what band.
And I didn't even, and the thing was people tried to get me to slam the guy in interviews. And I'm like, dude, I only met the guy twice at that point, early days of Massacre. And he was nice to me. So,
and I met him with you at Circle Studios when we were rehearsing that one day, and they were in, and I have to say, like, you know, he was a cool guy to talk to then. He was okay to us.
He wasn't talking no shit then.
You know, and I remember with Massacre, you guys were really, I mean, the band was killing it. Like, I think I've told you off the record that, you know, like before plenty of times, you know, that if you guys would have kept on going, if shit didn't happen the way it did, you guys would be in a whole different place right now because you guys were picking up steam. I saw it on the cruise when you guys did this 70,000 tons of metal cruise when I went on with you guys. I mean, you know, you guys were definitely building up momentum. It was definitely, you know.
And it was crazy because in that small period, we did it twice.
Yeah,
we got to do that twice.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't go the first time.
You guys played a corner on the first one, right? Corner and Venom was on the first one, yeah.
And Venom. Like the newish version of Venom with Kronos. But yeah, it was killer, man. I mean, Crowbar played, Atheist played. I mean, the lineup was like when you went, it was a great lineup. Like you can't
Overkill, DRI, Death Angel.
Yeah. Yep. So it was
great.
Yeah, and that was a great, you know, we played killer. I mean, we did some killer tours. We did some killer shit. I got to go to South America twice, you know, Europe.
And I always say that if you guys would have kept on rolling, if shit didn't happen the way it did, it would have been a whole different story for you guys because, you know, the band, you could definitely see that people were buying into it, you know, and
well, even when I was doing, because you were there when I was writing the Back from Beyond record, because you contributed with me on a couple lyrics. I was at your house.
Yeah, we were doing some lyrics, which was awesome because some of my favorite, and I'm actually going to play one of the songs here. And I will be honest, I totally picked this song because
I know you did
some backup vocals on it, and I did write some lyrics on it. And there's 2 lines in this track that I'm very proud of, actually.
The fucking web one. I know you fucking.
The web of fucking death, which I told you because you don't curse ever. I'm like, dude, you got to at least throw it. You're pretty much, which is totally respectable when it comes to your writing. So I had you put that in there, and then Down for the Chase, man, which I still, when I listen to the song, I think it's a great line. So I'm going to pat myself on the back there. But you killed it on that record. You guys all did. For me, it was awesome to be able to do that shit on there.
Those were probably.
Well, I remember when you came over to write lyrics to that record, and you actually had Ed was having drinks and shit. I actually have photos of this.
Yes,
you know,
I did.
Because Ed does not drink very often, and Ed was actually having some beers. We were writing some lyrics, and then we wrote that whole.
We wrote that whole song that night.
Yeah, we sat there and banged it right out, man. It was like, you know, and it was for me. It was obviously, you know, being a kid who grew up listening to bands like Massacre. It was pretty cool to me. I was like, wow, man, you know, fucking, I get to like actually, and like the song I'm going to play, I actually got to do a couple backups on it. So it was like, to me, that was totally cool.
Sure of that.
Yeah. I was totally like, you know, it was just awesome, man. So I do appreciate that. So thank you, Ed, for hooking me up with that. Thanks.
Oddly enough, I was just talking to Rick Ross yesterday. And he always apologizes to me, man.
Cut up the damn hoodie that we get. Like,
yeah, no, dude, that was so bad. God damn it. But there's a song on the record that for years, I just didn't like the way I sang it. For some reason in my head, I just was like, oh my God, you know. But then I re-listened to it, and I get it. And it's that song called Honor the Fallen. He's like, dude, that's your...
It's a Jeff Hanneman song. I remember.
Right, and if people, because a lot of people don't know that, and if they read the lyrics, they would see I took Slayer lyrics and used the thesaurus to change, like South to Heaven. I changed whatever, you know, I put in there. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like I just whatever Hanneman songs he wrote, I took the words and changed them to be the same thing, but in a thesaurus version. So it didn't say South of Heaven; it said, you know, whatever. And
I remember that.
But he was like, dude, when you walked in with those lyrics, he said it again yesterday. He goes, when you came in with those lyrics, I was like, holy shit, man. And then when I listened to it, I actually listened to it last night. I was like, damn, dude, fuck. You know, these are really fucking, some of these were really, most of these songs, all of them were just great. And
well, I think if you guys would have kept that lineup together, obviously longer, it would have, people would have, you know, heard more and more of it.
You know how
it's hard. It's hard to get people to listen these days, but that was a killer record, and we're gonna play. So we're gonna play "The Evil Within."
Yep.
Which, like I said, is awesome. Yeah, I get to scream a little bit on the song. So this is Ed Webb's first record when he was with Massacre. They put out, like I said, they had put out the Condemned to the Shadows EP, which was 2012, and this was Back from Beyond, Century Media, right?
Yes, sir.
2014. So we're going to play Evil Within from Back Beyond, and we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this track.
On the loose, lunatic, contorted mind, embrace this wicked malevolence. Eternal agony, never of wretchedness. Elucidated, scavenger of torment. Time to feed the voices of controlling me. Hell no to mercy, no end to the pain. Blood isn't enough to satisfy the chase. Dying all that is sacred, compelled to betrayal. Shifting thoughts give into temptation is the killing hour. On the loose, lunatic, contorted mind, victims crucified. Embrace this wicked malevolence. Eternal agony, never of wretchedness. Lord Sedatus, scavenger torment. Time to feed voices of controlling me. Eyes of madness, eternal vision stain. There's no use in running without down for the chase. Screams fuel the hatred, giving life to the fiend. Taking in your terror before the soul devouring. It's time to you're caught in the fucking web of death. A purgatory of misery, infernal abyss. No one can hear the cries of pain. As daylight draws near, fear life fades. This shattered tomb shall be your grave. On the loose, lunatic, contorted mind, victims crucified. Embrace this wicked malevolence. Eternal agony, never of wretchedness. Elucidated, scavenger torment. Time to feed the voices of controlling me.
That was Massacre from the Back from Beyond record. That was The Evil Within. And we're just hanging out, talking some of Ed's actual music history today. Because like I said, we kind of decided to do an episode out of the clear blue. So I said, let's fucking do it like this. So yeah, Ed, you did we get the whole Massacre thing. And, obviously everybody knows that came to an end. And, obviously we get into that a different day. That was a whole big, I know that part was, like I said, you guys had the ball rolling really well. It was a bummer to see that happen. Shit happens.
To me, it was sucked because it was coming off the DTA tour. We were
that was a fucking great show too. Dude, you guys were on fire that night.
Oh, dude. Well, yeah.
Because we played with you that night, Generichrist, and you played double duty that night. And that was, what was it? That was DTA, Rivers of Nihil.
Yep. So the lineup every night, besides I think maybe 3, there was a local band maybe a couple times. I made sure we played at the Tampa show. That was a favor from me from Eric.
That was a great show too. That place
Rivers
was
of Nihil,
so packed.
Massacre, Obituary, and Death to All. Dude, that was
Pete Owen's show too, which we're going to get Pete Owen on here because Pete Owens told me he'll come on, and we're going to get Pete Owen on. That was his gig, because he was booking out the Orpheum at that time period. So he
because he was the one. I don't remember the whole how it came about because I think he got mad because somebody tried to circumvent him. Eric said to ask the promoter, which, it's Pete, and Pete was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, done."
Yeah, Pete's great, man. We'll have to get, like I said, we're definitely going to get him on here. I just talked to him about 2 weeks ago. And he's doing great over at the Haven in Orlando. He's even got the old flyers on the walls. Totally cool. Set up a lot of our flyers are on those walls. I've got pictures to have people send me pictures, and it's pretty awesome. But you did that. Obviously, Massacre came to an end, and that pretty much led to Hideous. You guys did the Hideous. That was you, Terry Butler. But that So without getting into details, Hideous was a product of the breakup of Massacre, and that was Matt Bishop, you, Greg Gall,
and Terry Butler. Really how it worked was Matt Bishop had talked to Terry a bunch of times about doing a band, and Terry is the most hardest working dude in metal. Period. End of story. Plus the most nicest guy ever. ever. They were talking, and again, Terry's like, dude, Ed can play guitar and he can sing. We should get him. And then they were talking, and Greg will play drums because they, played in 6 Feet Under together. And it
was great to see Greg back. I had not seen Greg since 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
That was the last time I had seen him.
Yeah. The first time I jammed with him, I was like, holy shit, man. This was the first time he really started playing drums seriously again. He played them, but not seriously. He had his set up in his garage, and that's where we were practicing. And Terry and Greg jammed, all the stuff we got. I got everything tight, and then Matt would fly in, and we would do a couple practices, and then we played our first show at the. Oh God, it's gone now.
At the brewery next to the studio we used to record at. What was it called? Was it not? What was the brewery? Not New World Brewery, was it?
That's it. New World Brewery.
And this whoever's listening that's not been to there, this was in Ybor City. It's now gone. It was at this studio called the Red Room that we used to record at. So we recorded, for me and Ed recorded a bunch of albums there. We actually recorded, talking about Massacre, I actually recorded the vocals for that Massacre song with you at that studio. We ran with Mark Prater, who was a former Morris sound worker. We've known Mark. Mark plays drums. Mark's a musician, a friend. The last time I saw Mark was the hockey game, man. Me and him went to go see the Devils, and son of a bitch, the Devils fucking lost, and Mark was like totally, rubbing it in. Like we were right by the glass too, man. So it was fucking. I invited you to that game. Yep. You had shit going on. So we had. So that's the last time I saw Prater. But Prater worked at the studio, and it was connected to this brewery, which was a great, man, a cool fucking place. Like the problem is that when we were doing the Taste of Death record and the House of Repute Generichrist records, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes too. It was a lot of sometimes you'd have a few too many next door to us. So I did notice there was always beer glasses piled up everywhere, and certain members in the bathroom laying down, fucking wasted.
Not for me.
Not you. Do you remember when? Okay, so you know what? Who cares? So do you remember the night that Joe got so fucked up, and he takes his cell phone. This is our guitar player at the time, which loved the guy dearly, Hubar, and. I don't know. All of a sudden, I see maybe Facebook it was at that time. There's videos of Joe with his fucking cell phone going inside these dance clubs wasted and just filming these people dance on poles. It was ridiculous, but it was pretty funny though. But this bar it was a cool bar though. But it was just next to the studio, and that's where you guys played actually, Ed, because you guys played. Did you guys play 2 shows there or one?
One. We played just that show. Because we played in We had
Gruesome played that night.
Yes, they headlined.
Did they? I totally forgot that.
You were there.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, this is why Ed keeps the show intact, because I'm losing it a little bit.
And what you call it, Jamie from The Absence, his other band, that Entombed sounding band, I can't remember their name. They opened the show. They opened the show.
Jamie, everybody who knows Jamie, he was working over at, which I think it's gone now. What was that bar over there? Shit, man. Of course, I'm going to forget this. It was the bar that we used to all hang out with after shows. When anybody was a showgo, they would all walk down to this bar over in Ybor. Whoever is listening to this that's from Ybor or Tampa knows exactly what Nickel City? Not Nickel City, but
you're talking about where people would get chicken wings and stuff.
I can't think of the fucking name.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it either.
But Jamie used to work there too. But yeah, I remember that show. That was because you guys only did. So how many shows did Hideous do?
So with Terry, we did 2. We had 3 shows booked, but we couldn't do all 3. So we did Tampa, Orlando, and then the 3rd show Generichrist did in Miami. Remember, we went down to Miami and did Play with Gruesome.
That's right. Yeah, at the Tiki Bar, right?
Yep.
I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, that is right.
So yes. We played the Haven and then the New World Brewery, and that was it. And then the only other show we ever did was without Terry. We did the Las Vegas Death Fest.
And you guys formed in 2016, if I'm correct. So you guys, when did your time at Massacre? When was that over with?
14.
Was it 15?
14.
So right out. So it was that early. Wow. I didn't think it was. I thought it was a little more time after that. Mm-hmm. So you actually, before then, like we said, I've played with Ed in bands forever.
If you think about it, that tour was the November through the first week of December. So it was 2015. It would have been 15. So yeah. So the end of 14 is when Massacre was. This version was done.
And and this is 2015. Also in 2015, me and Ed put out a record in a band called Generichrist, which has been around for almost 20 years now, which is crazy. We figured 2008, 2003. I don't know, a long fucking time. And we put out the Taste of Death record in 2015, which we recorded at Red Room Studios in Ybor City, which we were talking about, which had like the Scientology building across the street. So whenever you went outside to if you smoked cigarettes or just whatever you were doing out there, you always had them taking pictures of you. Remember that shit?
Actually, since I'm the historian, we actually recorded part of those songs at the other Red Room.
Yeah,
that was on Central Avenue by my house.
Yeah, they moved in the middle of the recording. We did 2 records there because we did the House of Ill Repute record and the Taste of Death record. All those songs in the same recording.
House of Ill Repute most of that was recorded at that other Red Room.
Yeah,
Red Room 1, we'll call it. Red Room 2 in Ybor is where we
Red
finished.
Room 3 was in
Death. Was in Brandon.
Was Brandon. So so Red Room 2 in Ybor. Across the street there was the Scientology building. Do you remember that?
Remember they were always standing outside like a bunch of fucking nut jobs.
Yeah, and everyone's like, like I said, they follow you, take photos of you. It's totally crazy. Big thing there.
The place
building.
You couldn't, no matter where you went in Ybor, you always had to pay to park. Remember, we would have to pay to park to go to the studio.
Even inside the studio's fucking parking lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like ridiculous.
It was absolutely ridiculous. But that is, I'm sure it's worse now. I think in New York City, it's like $80 a day to park now. I was reading. It's crazy. But yeah, so we did the Taste of Death record, and I'm actually going to play a song off of that. I'm going to play Monsters and Myths. And the thing the intro to this song, so whoever listened to our band or knows who we were back then, or we used to have Bill Moseley, from Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the list goes on and on. He actually recorded on our records. I would fly out to Los Angeles over to Travis Dickerson's studio and meet up with Bill there. And I would write all these intros to the records that we were doing. I would write all the dialogue stuff, and I would go in there with Bill, and he would do it. Bill was awesome. I remember even once he had the lighter with him from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where he lights the Chop Top's light in the hangar.
Yep.
But Bill was great. And we went out there twice. The first time, so this was actually from the second recording. This was from my second time out there. it was so cool to write something and see Bill actually doing it. Like, you know, because this was an actor that I thought was fucking awesome. I know, Ed, you were a big Bill Moseley guy too. We still are. And to see him actually doing it, he was totally down to earth. Bill's a great guy. And he did the intro to the song. So, you know, he did a couple things on our records. And we actually have something that we're going to use for the Tampa Morgue that he did, which is very relatable, that we've been waiting to put together for this show. But this record, Ed, I got to say, man, it's, you know, it was one of my favorite Generichrist records because it was a time when the band was kind of in a bad place, I'll just say, like, without getting into too much details, it was kind of like everyone was in a shitty place kind of, but we were gelling, like writing wise, just there wasn't a lot of love in the band at that time.
Koozies.
It was, koozies, yes. Gotta make koozies. And everyone was drinking a little too much, and besides that at this time, everyone was doing a little too much of this or that back then, and it was becoming a problem. And it was a lot of inner shit, but the record's killer, and I think that the record is a portrait of what that band was feeling at that time, because it was really a pissed off time period.
But the songs hold the test of time.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
we did our own thing, dude. We didn't follow. We did exactly what we wanted to do.
I don't know how many times I've had people tell me how is it that two bands you were in don't get the kind of love they deserve, and I agree.
Generichrist, I think, was a little weird beast because we didn't follow the death metal norm. We kind of really did, and that's why we played with a lot of punk bands. You know, through the years, we always, especially towards the end, we really started like playing with the punk bands, and we were still playing metal. We were still playing our music because we had a certain sound that we did, but we weren't like, we really did not follow.
We never pigeonholed ourselves into a genre to play with. We played with everybody.
Yeah, so that's just the way we did it. But, you know, we had put out a bunch of albums. We put out Taste of Death, House of Ill Repute, which I think House of Ill Repute might have been 2014. I need to double check that.
It was before.
So Taste of Death was 2015. And yeah, this is Monsters and Myths from Generichrist. Enjoy. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this track.
Lower the body into the ground, surrounded by the sound of falling tears. Let the sky open up with acid rain and wash away the tragic years. I ask, is it just a ritual of dying, the only end to this godforsaken curse? See, death knows no compassion. Sometimes it's women and children first. Did you really think you'd live forever? Is that something you would really want?
that was a blast from the past for us. That was Monsters and Myths from the Taste of Death record. I haven't performed that song, Me and You, since like 2016, which was actually in Orlando the last time we did that track. You know, it's been a while, but we put out an album after that, Insomniac Death Parade, which another album that I'm totally proud of. You know, like I would say like the House of Ill Repute, Taste of Death, Insomniac. Those are the three that I'm very happy with. The rest of it, like, it's just some of it, you know, it's very old, raw, demo-y shit. But yeah, you did that. And then, so after that, so we got you in Hideous already. Obviously, we did Flesh Reaper too, me and you, which we did with Scott Fagerstein from the Crucifix, or anybody who remembers that band from back in the 80s. A couple other guys, a guy who played with Generichrist at one time, Mark Chickasani, Don Queen, who had played in a weird way, was actually involved with Generichrist from the very beginning, because he was in a band that flipped over to Generichrist. Yeah, Unknown Cure, which is a whole another ball game from before that. You did that, and then you go to, which is kind of, I think, where you're at now, which is fucking awesome. How did you get to Monstrosity? When did you, 2021, you joined in Monstrosity, right? That's when the official year was that you actually hooked up with them?
I think it was maybe the latter part of 2020 is when I think it was asked. 2021 is kind of like when it, I guess they're officially, that's the official. Yeah. How did it happen?
How did you get into, like, what was the?
So,
you know, I forget everything. So you told me the story like 5 times. And
so the way I hear it, Mike didn't want to. I think there was a thing with traveling back and forth from California to Florida. Mike Huber, the singer, and he, I think, just got married, and I think you know how that works. So I think there was that. It's something in that vein. I don't want to speak on what I don't know, but I guess Terry and Lee was filling in on drums for Inhuman Condition, and
I remember that.
And they were talking about a singer, and Terry was like, "Dude."
So you owe Terry a lot of fucking.
It fucking seems that way, man. I should blow him fucking next time I see him. I got you covered, Butler. Sorry, Jill. A gurgle. Jill's my BFF, man. I love Jill.
Jill's great.
But yeah, so I get a phone. Terry either called me or messaged me. I can't remember, and said, "Hey, Lee Harrison." I was talking to Lee Harrison, and he wants to know if you're interested in doing Monstrosity. And I laughed at him because, as you know, the old story, I tried to get in Monstrosity and was told no, I was no good. But then I had a party at my house and played the whole record front to back on guitar, and Avery was like, "Oh fuck, I didn't know." He didn't know I could play guitar. Apparently everybody just always, you're a bass player. Now I don't even play bass anymore. Now I suck.
Which
I'm
is
just
funny because you play bass in every fucking band except
Fucking, now people there could be fucking
one of the better bass players in that. I mean, in that area.
There could be 25 bass player openings, and I'll be the last one to get called for some fucking reason.
They just know you're angry Ed, so I think that's
yeah. The guy who shows up for everything. So yeah, he said that, and he goes, "No, dude, I'm serious. Lee's gonna call you," and Lee called, and he's like, "No, dude." He goes, "We were talking, and I never even thought about it, dude." And I remember I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm down." And he's like, "I'll get back with you. We'll practice." He sent me a bunch of songs to learn, and then I find out we're doing Mass Destruction Fest, and I've got a couple practices, and I remember it was just, which is pretty much common. If people knew, you watch us on stage, you would never know, but. Like when I started jamming with Lee, it was just Mark English, who was the guitar player at the time. Mark, me, and Lee in a room, because Matt lives in Alabama. Mark Van Erp lives in New York. So I didn't play with either one of those two dudes. We play Mass Destruction Fest with fucking suffocation and violence, and that's my first show with the band. It's COVID times where you're still wearing masks, walking around, but yeah, so we played that show. That was the first time I ever played with Matt and Mark Van Erp. Just get in stage and you just play, and seems to be a fucking routine.
Oh yeah, you guys never jammed before,
no,
right?
Just me, Mark, and Lee. Just me, Mark, and Lee. Fast forward, we get to MDF a couple years ago, and again, practice with Matt, and me and Lee, and I hear there's this unknown dude named Justin that played with them on a tour, and he's flying in, and dude, we get to the fucking festival, and Justin was diverted to Philadelphia, and he's got less than an hour to get to the gig. Dude, I mean, you can't write this shit. Seriously, everything we've ever done, you can't write it. We played MDF, and it was absolutely fucking ridiculously. I mean, people said we were the best of that, and you got to understand, we Massacre played, or whatever you call it, Atheist. We played Suffocation, Demolition Hammer, Obituary, and Carcass. That was
hell of a lineup.
That was the lineup the day we played, and you can't write that lineup. And actually, Obituary and Carcass got moved to a place called the Power Plant because of weather. But that was what they call the lot, where the two stages are. That was the lineup that day.
We actually had, it's funny. I'll forget this if I don't say this now. And so there was a question sent actually to you this week about which I do know the answer to this, I believe. But you are you guys still playing? Or are you going to play Angel of Death from Slayer? Because obviously it was covered in the past by Monstrosity.
No, not that I'm aware of. Because none of the guys except for Lee are in the band. So yeah, that was Avery, and no, none of the dudes in the band are even, except for Lee. I think Lee's the only one that's in the band that was on that record.
Yeah, somebody from Jersey sent that question. When you're talking about it, I said, I should ask this now.
I don't know. I mean, never say never, I guess, because we're always trying to do different shit. The problem we have is that we don't practice enough, because there was a question, hey, let's play a new tune, for the record, and the problem is we haven't played together to do that. So to do that off the cuff, to do the old songs off the cuff, we did 2 tours. We did, we toured Europe, we toured South America. The stuff we're our set list kind of has 10 to 12 songs that we use on rotation, maybe 13, and we rotate them in and out depending on the time we have. So like when we did the cruise, we played one set list and then we altered it up and did other songs for the second set list. So we did, some of the same, but we kind of swapped out songs. To do new tunes would be crazy. And then trying to do Angel of Death that none of these guys have ever played. I could do it. I know the fucking words, but yeah, I don't know how that would, probably not. I'll just say no, probably not.
And you guys, obviously we talk about it on the show a lot, that you have the new record is recorded in the bag. You got some other surprises
mixed and mastered on the way. As we speak.
Yeah,
I heard I did see the update that it is being mixed, mastered. Thank you.
How about artwork? Is there any artwork yet for that? Or
Lee said he's working on it. I don't know who the artist is. Once I get the information, I will definitely I will update. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, man, it's one thing to say, hey, I got to play a Massacre. That's cool. To say I got to be in, we're Corpse Grinder and Jason Avery and Mike, some killer fucking, these are killer vocalists, man. I mean, these are top tier dudes, especially, Corpse Grinder and even Cam. These are legends, dudes that have been doing this since the early 90s, you know what I mean? Or before. First of all, after Massacre, I always thought, whatever, that's it. It was good run. I would have never expected to be in another big band, because I'd even told you time and time and time again, I'm not joining another band. I'm not, because it's just sometimes it's a pain in the ass, man. I mean, I get people all the time asking me why I don't put Destined to Ruin back together. Same thing I've told you 100 times. Same thing we're dealing with Generichrist. We just cannot fucking keep a rotation of real members. It's a problem. And people who are dedicated, people who can play the songs, people who want to be there, people who are going to fucking, be there for the long haul. Because it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm going to do it, and then they're gone. You know what I mean? We've seen it. I mean,
and that's the thing for, like,
egos too. Egos.
Me,
I can't deal with egos, man. That's
me
one
with
thing.
Generichrist and stuff like that. It's if I was, for me, I spend most of my time over in Eastern Europe now. My daughters are in school, and it's just crazy. Life is so busy; it's just nuts. If I was there, it would be different. If I had time to deal with the shit. But as you know, being in a band, if it's you either have to have guys that you 100% trust and are everyone's responsible and you get everything done, or if you can't just or you can't really do it because if you're gonna not be hands on, or if you got to have the team that can do that. Sometimes through band changes, we've had that in our band's Generichrist, and it's just it's not there anymore. So it's not saying it couldn't get that way, but for me, it's just the effort it would take right now. And we still have, we still record, we still do some stuff. I mean, but for you, Ed, I think it's, I told you I was stoked when you got in Monstrosity. I was stoked when you got in Massacre. I mean, you're playing killer shows. You're a great frontman.
I've been lucky, man. I've got to do some cool shit.
Yeah,
I really have.
I remember when you were doing the Village People cover band,
dude,
and fucking
assless
Wham.
chaps backwards, bro. I'm fucking the guy. I wear the
Careless
Indian
Whispers tour.
Dude, I wear the Indian hat on my fucking ass, dude. It's the greatest thing.
Yeah,
I said, I mean, it's for me, like I said, being overlooked is the thing that pisses me off, and I tell you that all the time.
Well, you know what it is. It's a popularity contest, a lot of it, man. But I think those who know, obviously you've played with some killer acts, and you got a lot of cool shit coming up.
I mean, I was the guy that fucking.
But that's who you know too. I think that's a kind of
sometimes,
a lot of ways.
But
these days it is now.
Kind of like I told the guy at the Ford place, I have a podcast, motherfucker. Yeah. I'm the guy with the microphone. I'm not. I said, dude, this could not have happened to a worse fucking dude, because the guy inside said, dude, I saw the devil when you walked in here, dude. Yep. Yeah. I love it, dude. I'll go ahead and give you the real one.
As he's got the real one loading up right now.
Yeah. So basically, that's the only thing I told him. I'm like, dude, you fucked up.
But I think you got a killer thing going on, man. I mean, you guys got some killer. I mean, what do you have show-wise that you can actually tell us? Because I know you guys got people have actually asked me if you're coming to their area. So I only know two shows.
We only have the two shows. We have the one in Texas in August, and then the one in October in, I think it's Sacramento. Both of them have Dismember on it, which is killer. Dismember or killer.
Oh yeah.
But then I saw one has Sacrifice and like a bunch of other killer bands, and I was just like, holy shit, man, this is fucking. I mean, that's what I like, is like when we did the first Mass Destruction, I saw Violence, and I hadn't seen Violence because they were gone. Like, they were gone. Yeah, they had Christian and Phil Demmel and obviously Bobby Gustafson, and watching them crush, I was just like, holy shit, man, these guys are fucking. Like, it was great to see something from so long ago. And then I realized I'm playing all these shows and I'm getting to see all these killer bands from that I never probably would have saw, if I wasn't on these shows. So yeah, it's definitely, I'm having a blast. I love the dudes in the band. There's been no drama. These guys are fucking pro. Mark Van Erp is a fucking crazy dude, and I love him. So yeah, it's been nothing short of, awesome, and I'm very, very lucky to get to do it. I was lucky to do Massacre. Dude, everything I've done, I'm fucking, hate to use the word blessed or whatever you want to call it, but I just am, man. I've got to do some really cool shit in my life. Some cool bands, play a lot of killer fucking shows, meet a lot of cool people. You too,
And now you're stuck doing the Tampa fucking morgue.
You know what though, man? I wouldn't trade this for anything, man. So this is fun, dude. 42. We've done 42 episodes.
And you have two shows coming up, and I have I don't know, something tells me that you're gonna have something else is gonna be coming up pretty soon too. That's gonna be fucking stacked. I mean, I don't know. I'll put fucking, but yeah, I mean. Episode number 42, we have, like we said, we got 43 coming up on Sunday. We got Ryan Waste from Municipal Waste and Bat, which should be interesting. It'll be a good one. Then we got Bloody F Mess in June, and we actually have another one lined up before that, but we're just waiting on the time. But yeah, man, Ed, we got a little Ed history today. Ed's had
Sorry, people. What a waste of an episode.
Got some music in there, It was like, well, like I said, sometimes we're like, oh, should we just do an episode since we always have guests all the time because we're a very guest heavy show.
My concern, as I told you, my concern was, I have no filter, and I generally don't like to talk shit about people. But
you did have a filter tonight, because I know a lot of the stories.
That's what I'm saying.
You were good. Yeah, you did.
Because I didn't want to,
tonight.
Because I realized that, kind of like when I finally calmed down at the Ford place, yelling at the guy who took my not my money, I didn't pay him shit, but the guy who wrote the car up, what does me screaming at him do? He is not the one that left the lug nuts on. So you have to realize that now. I've got
that. Could you imagine that dude was thinking when you're fucking when
dude,
you're
in the picture.
You could just picture you fucking furious. I saw the picture. I thought it was Bryce at first.
Yeah,
but could you imagine that dude's face when he sees you coming around the corner?
I'll tell you what, anybody once I get the car back, I'll go ahead and post the car pictures on our Instagram.
Definitely,
yes, so people can get fucking pics, so you can see the fucking douchebag, because they sent him out with a jack. To jack the car. I'm laughing, dude, because he goes,
he must have a long fucking day.
He tells the one guy, I need some lug nuts. I go, look on your fucking bench, asshole, because that's where you fucking left them. Because he didn't put them on. The one guy's walking up and down the street looking for the lug nuts. I'm like, you're not going to find them down there, because he never put them on, motherfucker.
Oh, man. What I would pay to be a fly on the wall in that place.
From now on, when shit happens, I'm just going to fucking turn the camera on. I'm just going to turn the camera on, dude.
Put it on. I know, we can put it on the Instagram page. Who cares? We can do whatever the hell we want. We have no sponsors. We have nothing right now. We just do this ourselves. We just roll on and do it. And I got to say, man, I am so I always tell Ed, I'm like, I see the downloads. I'm like, man, I cannot believe how. I mean, I got to say, everyone who we're obviously YouTube. We have no video, so we don't do shit on YouTube. But on the Spotify and all, I mean, it's pretty amazing. And we've been around since, I think our first episode was either August 3rd or August 6th. I forget when I said. Ed, we were just talking about this.
Yeah,
but I have to thank everybody. We have listeners from all over the world. We have Japan. We have Vietnam, obviously, which we picked up a lot of listeners from the Blood Serpent show we did. Finland. We everywhere. There's just Argentina. I'm trying to think of some of the places. Mexico.
It's humbling, man. It's
nobody in Russia though. Not surprised.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I think we're banned over there.
They're busy.
They're busy right now.
We have dick.
Yeah. We have what else? It's just crazy. There's a bunch of places. In the States too. We got. I have a lot of Florida listeners. A lot of up north, Jersey, Philly.
I was surprised Vegas. A couple people that you've talked to, and then I've wound up hearing from that. I listen to it while I'm working, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's cool though, man. Because it's definitely we're not really a show for people with small attention spans. We know that. We're kind of like a longer, detailed show, but we just, it's what we do, and we figure it out as we go.
I should have studied up for this one, because I didn't realize you were going full hard.
Oh no, we'll definitely talk about. There's so much stuff to talk about. Even when we were talking tonight about some of the stories, like I said, I know about 90% of this shit.
Oh, you've seen it. You've seen them all firsthand, dude.
So Ed has made a lot of them nice, because a lot of them are just we have some crazy stories, which we'll tell on the show definitely. And because we, like I said, we really appreciate everybody who listens. We can't thank you guys enough. I'll be honest, we do. The reason we've done 43 episodes so far is because we've had really positive, people are listening, and it's just
and it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
To me,
I hated talking at first on this thing, man. I had to figure out how to a
lot of people are like, "Oh, my time's valuable," and I'm like, "Dude, how much?" We're leaving a legacy, dude. We're leaving for our kids. They can come back and see how stupid we were.
When we're gone, when we're dust, our kids can come back and hear us talk about ridiculous shit and music and stuff. But hey, the thing that we try to do with our show is we want a kid 10 years from now to be able to come and listen to it and learn about the bands that they love, and to hear, like I said, it's kind of like a liner note thing. We are, a lot of when we have guests, a lot of the stuff we ask is stuff that we wondered when we were scrolling through the records, or, that wasn't inside the liner notes, or the things that interviewers don't ask, because there's a lot of, call it geeky, but there's a lot of shit that, I've wondered that when we get these guys on, like the Snowy Shaws, or even the Vincent Crowleys, or the Blaine Cooks, these guys that Well, we had fucking Bobby G on. You mentioned Gustafsson earlier. We had him on, and I of course I asked him like, what happens on Headbangers Ball when the fucking commercial? Are you guys watching the videos? We learned the truth.
Right.
It was a sad truth because behind the curtain was not as cool as you thought it was when you were watching it on your on Saturday night at your house. But yeah, man. Again, we thank everybody who listens. Ed, so I mean, I think that everybody knows where they can hear us at. Right, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are at, and everyone tells us that, and I hate asking people, please subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, just because I guess it's something that we should ask people to do. But it's I guess it all matters of how our show gets out there. The more ratings we get and stuff. So you can always reach us at thetampamorgue@gmail.com or Instagram. We'll always answer you on Instagram unless you're trying to sell us weird shit. Yeah, and I mean, we're back here on Sunday, so everyone have a killer weekend who listens. It's Thursday night, so you'll probably be hearing this tonight or Friday morning, and have a killer weekend. We'll be back on Sunday with Ryan Waste, and that'll be our next show, and then we'll go from there. But like I said, we just decided to do this tonight for the hell of it, so we appreciate everybody who took the time to actually listen. And you can find a lot of Ed's bands on YouTube, and there's if you have any questions, send them to us, and I'll direct them towards Ed. If anybody has any questions for the show, send them too, because we read them on the air. And anything else, Ed, you can think of?
Nope. Just greatly appreciate everybody tuning in and giving us whatever love, if that's what you want to call it. We like it. I enjoy this, man. I'm having a great time. I don't know about this episode, but I like it.
It's been great, man. Everybody, again, episode 42 is out now. This is it, and we shall see everybody on Sunday. Enjoy the weekend, guys, and thank you for listening to the Tampa Morgue.
See ya.